All right. Item number 2, Board Spotlight, UHY LLP Certified Public Accountants.
Hello, I'm Ryan Howell. I'm from UHY. We did the audit this year, and just going to do a quick recap of the audit report. If you have it in front of you, I'll go over the page numbers that I'm referencing, and you're more than welcome to follow along. So, the first thing I always like to go over is page 1 of the audit report, which is our independent auditor's report letter. The opinion paragraph, or the opinion section, is at the top of that page. The second paragraph down states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects in accordance with...
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you for just 1 second? I apologize. I still feel like it's a little hard to hear or understand from the comments. Are people in the audience able to hear this okay? Yes? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to make sure it's been a reoccurring problem with people using the podium, just to make sure that we can hear. So if you kind of just stay close to the mic, that will be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. I will not interrupt again.
That's all right. And yeah, if anybody has questions as I'm going, please interrupt and let me know, and we'll answer them at that time. So the opinion paragraph, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. This is an unmodified or unqualified opinion. This is the best opinion we can give, basically. It just means your financial statements are fairly presented. And then everything after this report is your financials that we give the opinion on. So then if you would jump ahead to page 18 and 19 of this audit report, I will touch on the general fund. So on page 19, the first column of the general fund, the third number from the bottom, is the net change in fund balance. It's so you increased your fund balance this past year in the general fund for $552,672, which brings your fund balance up to $3,638,789. One thing we do gauge every year in the general fund is your fund balance as a percentage of your expenditures to see if you're at the appropriate level. So your percentage is 16.06%. This is up slightly from the prior year by 15.53%. So Michigan school business officials, they recommend schools be at somewhere between 15 and 20% from a cash flow standpoint. And so you're kind of at the bottom end of that spectrum. That's one of the reasons you guys do still need to borrow against state aid every year. But you're still in a good financial position. But and that's one of those reasons. It's difficult because the timing of when you get state aid every year. Then the second column is the other non-major governmental funds. So a breakdown of that column is actually at the very back page of this report, page 56. And I'll kind of just do a quick recap of the non-major funds as well. The first column is the food service fund. This fund increased $103,773, which brings your fund balance up to $519,836. This particular fund is only supposed to have a cash reserve of 90 days. So your fund balance actually is too high in this particular fund due to some federal guidelines and state guidelines. So the state will make you create a spend down plan by the end of the year. You also had this in the prior year. This is not a very uncommon thing right now. Most school districts have this same exact issue where they have to have a spend down plan just because of the federal funding that they've accumulated over the last few years. The second column is the Community Rec Fund. This fund hovers really close to a break even. It increased $3,000 this past year, which brings the fund balance up to $22,994. The last special revenue fund, which is the school activity fund, that increased fund balance $35,922. This was a new fund a couple of years ago, but I anticipate it being about a break even with a slight increase every year based on the different funds and programs that the school has. A lot of that is like the student activity accounts are in those funds, or in the school activity fund. The fourth non-major fund is the debt service fund. This is the bonds and interest are covered by the taxes collected each year, so that one also should be about a break even each year. You had a small decrease of $5,399. And then the final fund that you have is the capital projects fund, the building and site capital projects fund. This fund increased by $24,494. You only had one expenditure related to seal coating this past year in this fund, which was less than the transfer in from the general fund of $50,000. So that's why it increased this past year. That's all I wanted to touch on the actual numbers from the main audit report. The second thing I was going to touch on was the communication with those charged with governance, which is the management letter. That's a separate letter, if that was passed out. And so a lot of this letter is boilerplate. It talks about estimates that we have in the audit report. Also talks about any disagreements with management, corrected and uncorrected misstatements. None of that was out of the ordinary. But on the second page, if we do have a specific comment, towards the bottom is where we note it. And so the comment we had this year was related to the excess fund balance in the food service fund that I already touched on. Basically states that the state of Michigan requires the district to submit a spend down plan related to that excess fund balance. Other than that are the only written comments we had in the audit report this year. So overall, I think you guys are doing a good job staying within your budget constraints, specifically in the general fund. It's very important to stay financially conservative with the uncertainty surrounding some of the state and federal funding. More so the federal funding currently. You guys have had a lot of COVID federal funds over the last couple of years that will not be there in the upcoming years. So that will create challenges for a lot of school districts in the years ahead. So. That's all I had. Does anybody have any questions?
Before they do, Ryan, I would just, like to publicly thank Holly. She does a fantastic job for us. I think you know that.
Yes, she does.
Before. So I am thrilled that she is back here and has us in as strong a financial situation as we've been in a while. So her guidance and her thoughtfulness and her ability to communicate is very, very impressive and really helps us out. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Good job, Holly.
Any questions from the board? No?
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your work. Good job.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
you sharing the comments that, we as a district are managing our money well with, constraints that we have. And it is nice to get that reassurance that Holly and our financial team are doing their due diligence when it comes to controlling and balancing our budget.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See ya.